I'm just keeping my options open, she announced while swiping through dating apps at breakfast. Smart, I said. Took the day off work, moved all my stuff to storage, broke the lease. She came home to an empty apartment and a text. Kept my options open too. Chose the option without you. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The morning sun sliced through the blinds, painting warm stripes across the kitchen counter. I love this time of day. The quiet hum of the city waking up, the rich smell of the coffee I was grinding, the simple ritual of it all. I was scrambling eggs, the sizzle a comfortable sound in our tidy apartment. Qley was at the small wooden table, already buried in her phone. Typical. I didn't think anything of it. I poured 2 mugs, adding a splash of oat milk to hers, just how she liked it. I carried them over, setting one down in front of her. She didn't look up. Her thumb moved in a steady, rhythmic swipe. Up, pause, down. Up, pause, down. Anything interesting going on in the world? I asked, sliding into the chair opposite her with my own mug. Just keeping my options open, she said, her voice flat, her eyes glued to the screen. The words hung in the air for a second, not quite registering. They were so alien, so utterly disconnected from the scene of our domestic breakfast. My brain fumbled, trying to fit them into a context that made sense. Financial options? Career options? Your options? I asked, my voice carefully neutral. She finally looked up, and a faint, condescending smile played on her lips. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile you give a child who's asked a naively stupid question. Yeah, you know. She shrugged one shoulder, a lazy, dismissive gesture. On Bumble. It's not a big deal. It's healthy to see what's out there. She turned her phone around. You should try it. The world didn't shatter. It didn't explode. It just froze. The sizzle of the eggs faded into a distant hiss. The morning light seemed too bright, too harsh. On the screen was a grid of men. Smiling men, shirtless men, men holding fish, men on mountains. A digital meat market. And her profile, her beautiful, familiar face, was right there at the top. Active. Now. Swiping through men while I made her coffee in the home we shared. My heart didn't break. It iced over. The warmth I'd felt moments before solidified into a cold, hard lump in my chest. This wasn't a secret I'd uncovered. This was a policy she was announcing. I wasn't her partner. I was her placeholder, her default setting. And she was casually, openly, browsing for an upgrade right in front of me. The humiliation was so complete, so profound, it was almost peaceful. I looked from the phone to her face, from the parade of strangers back to the woman I'd loved for 3 years. I saw the challenge in her eyes. She was waiting for my reaction, waiting for me to get angry, to plead, to question her. She was ready for a drama she knew she could win. So, I gave her nothing. I held her gaze for a long, silent moment, my expression as unreadable as stone. I let her see the absence of the hurt she was expecting. I let her see the calculation beginning behind my eyes. Then, I nodded slowly. Smart, I said, my voice a calm, low monotone. Her smug smile widened, misinterpreting my calm for acceptance, for defeat. Right? She said, turning the phone back towards herself. It's just being pragmatic. Exactly, I agreed, standing up. My eggs were cold. I didn't care. Pragmatic. I walked to the sink and poured the uneaten food down the disposal, the grinding sound a satisfying echo of the turmoil she would never see. I picked up my keys from the bowl by the door. I'm going to be late, I said, without looking back at her. I walked out the door, closing it softly behind me. I didn't slam it. There was no punctuation of anger. Just the quiet, definitive click of a door closing on one life, and the silent, cold-blooded beginning of another. The how and why were irrelevant now. There was only the what next. And I already knew. The door clicked shut behind me, sealing away the sound of the disposal, the smell of cold eggs, and the woman who had just become a stranger. The hallway was quiet. My footsteps on the linoleum were the only sound, unnaturally loud in the ringing silence of my own head. I didn't go to my car. I walked right past it, down the street to a small park that was usually empty at this hour. I needed air that wasn't shared with her. I sat on a cold bench, the iron seeping through my trousers, and watched a squirrel chase another around an oak tree. My mind wasn't racing. It was, for the first time that morning, perfectly, terrifyingly clear. It was like a switch had been flipped. The part of me that loved her, that felt hurt, that wanted to scream and break things, that part was locked in a soundproof box and thrown into a deep, dark lake. What remained was a cold, pragmatic engine. An operator. The first call was to my boss, David. David. Leo. I said, my voice even in professional. I have a family emergency. I need to take the day, possibly the rest of the week. There was a pause on the other end. I was never the guy who called in sick. Everything okay, Leo? You sound sharp. It's under control. I lied smoothly. I just need to handle some things. I'll be available by email for anything critical. All right. Take the time you need. I hung up. Family emergency. The words tasted like ash. She had been my family. Now, she was the emergency. The next call was to a storage facility I'd passed 100 times. Yeah, I need the largest unit you have available, and I need access to it today. I gave them my credit card information without flinching. The monthly fee was an investment in my freedom. Then, the movers. I Googled same-day movers and called the first one with decent reviews. I explained the situation with a chilling lack of emotion. It's a one-bedroom apartment. I need everything that belongs to me moved to a storage unit today. A 2-hour window. I'll pay the premium. The man on the phone, sounding skeptical, asked, "And your partner?" "They're aware. She will be," I said, the words dripping with a finality that must have convinced him. He gave me a 2 o'clock slot. Finally, the hardest call. The landlord, Mr. Henderson. "Mr. Henderson, it's Leo from 4B. I need to break my lease, effective immediately." He sighed, a weary sound. "Son, you know that's a 2-month penalty fee, and I need 30 days notice. I am aware of the penalty. I will pay it. Consider today my notice. I am moving out today. My girlfriend, Qley, is the co-signer. You will need to speak with her regarding her continued tenure." "Today? What in the world is going on over there?" "The relationship has been terminated," I said, using the cold, corporate phrase because it was the only one that fit. "I am removing my belongings and my liability. The rest is between you and the other tenant." I heard him fumbling with papers. "Well, I'll need that in writing. And the penalty fee. You'll have an email within the hour and the wire transfer by end of day." I hung up. The financial hit was staggering. It would wipe out my savings. I didn't care. Money could be rebuilt. My self-respect was a one-time offer, and I was cashing it in. I sat on that bench until it was time. I didn't think about our first kiss in that apartment, or the Christmas we spent stringing lights across the living room, or the way she'd laugh at my bad jokes. I thought about floor plans. I thought about square footage. I thought about logistics. At 1:45 p.m., a large truck with city movers on the side pulled up outside my building. I met the 2 burly guys at the door. Their names were Ray and Marcus. I gave them a brief, emotionless briefing. "Everything in this apartment is mine, or it's ours. You will take only the items I point to. I'll be directing you. We need to be fast." Ray, the older of the 2, looked at me, then at the door. "You sure about this, man? This looks fresh." "I've never been more sure of anything," I said, and I meant it. I unlocked the door. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Her coffee mug, still half full, sat on the table. The sight of it should have hurt. It was just a ceramic object. "Couch. Mine," I said, pointing. "TV. Mine. Bookshelf. I built it. Mine." I was a surgeon, performing a radical dissection. I directed them to my clothes, my books, my record collection, the expensive knife set my grandfather had left me. I took my side of the bed, the good pillows. I left her things in neat, pathetic piles. Her stuffed animal from a carnival, her collection of scented candles, her stack of fashion magazines. I left the framed photos of us on the walls. They were artifacts from a dead civilization. The movers worked quickly, their faces grim. They understood the score. This was a domestic extraction, not a move. They didn't speak unless necessary. In under 90 minutes, the apartment was hollowed out. It was no longer a home. It was a shell containing her things and the ghost of our life together. The space where my couch had been was a pale rectangle on the carpet. The dust bunnies under the bed were now exposed to the light. I did one final walkthrough. The bedroom, the bathroom, the living room. I stopped in the kitchen doorway. My eyes fell on the little chip in the granite countertop, the one from when we dropped a bottle of wine the first night we moved in. We'd laughed about it, called it our battle scar. I looked at it now, and I felt nothing. It was just a flaw in a stone I would never see again. I turned to Ray and Marcus. That's it. Let's go. We drove in silence to the storage facility. I signed the paperwork. They unloaded my entire life into a 10 by 15 concrete cell, and I slammed the rolling door down, turning the lock with a satisfying, metallic clunk. I was homeless, and I had never felt more free. I got into my car, which was now packed with a suitcase of essentials. I pulled out my phone. The screen was blank. No missed calls. No frantic texts. She was still at work, oblivious, probably swiping through her options on her lunch break, confident that her pragmatic little world was waiting for her when she got home. A grim smile touched my lips for the first time that day. I opened a new text message. I typed her number from memory, my thumbs moving with deliberate finality. Kept my options open too. Chose the option without you. I hit send. I watched the message change from delivered to read. I didn't wait for the typing bubbles to appear. I went into my settings, found her number, and pressed block this caller. Then I deleted the entire message thread. I started the car and pulled out into the traffic, heading for a hotel for the night. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. I rolled down the window, letting the cool evening air wash over me. It was over, and it was the most pragmatic decision I had ever made. The hotel room was generic, a beige box with a king-sized bed and a view of the highway. It was perfect. It was anonymous. It held no history, no memories, no ghosts. I ordered a steak from room service, ate it at the small desk, and slept for 10 hours straight. The sleep of the dead, or more accurately, the sleep of the freed. The first tremor came at 8:17 the next morning. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. An unknown number. I knew who it was before I even read it. Unknown. Leo, what the fuck? Where's all our stuff? Are you insane? I pictured her, standing in the hollowed-out apartment, her voice echoing off the bare walls. The shock. The disbelief. I felt a flicker of something. Not satisfaction, not yet, but a cold confirmation. The first domino had fallen. I deleted the message and blocked the number. I spent the day at a coffee shop with my laptop, finalizing the wire transfer for the lease penalty and emailing the formal notice to Mr. Henderson. I was tidying up the legal and financial loose ends of my old life with the focus of a project manager closing out a failed contract. The second tremor, stronger this time, hit at 11:04 a.m. A new number. Unknown. The landlord called me. You broke the lease. You can't do this. My name is on it too. You've ruined my credit. Answer me. The panic was setting in. The pragmatic reality of her situation was dawning. Half the rent, a lease she couldn't afford on her own, a financial black mark. Her options hadn't included this. I deleted it. Blocked. By the evening, the tone shifted. The anger was burning out, replaced by a desperate, wheedling plea. Another number. Unknown. Leo, please. I'm sorry. It was a joke. It didn't mean anything. You've completely overreacted. We need to talk about this like adults. A joke. The word was so pathetic it was almost funny. She had shown me the knife, pressed it against my throat, and now she was claiming she was just kidding about the sharpness. I didn't respond. My silence was my answer. It was the only answer she was going to get. The karma wasn't just in her texts. It began to trickle in through the fractured pipeline of mutual friends. Mike, the one who'd sent me the original screenshot, texted me a few days later. Mike, dude, Qley is telling everyone you had a psychotic break. That you emptied the apartment and ghosted her out of nowhere. She's playing the ultimate victim. I typed back a simple reply. Me. She was on Bumble, swiping through guys, at our breakfast table. Told me she was keeping her options open. I simply agreed with her strategy. I attached the screenshot he'd sent me. The original sin. The response was almost immediate. Mike, oh shit. Yeah, that changes the narrative. Jenna's been feeding us a line about how you were emotionally abusive and she was just looking for friends. This is different. A week later, another message from a new number. The desperation had curdled into full-blown crisis. Unknown. He was a model Leo. His profile said he was a model. He just wanted to use my apartment for a photo shoot, and then he ghosted me. The other one asked me for money. This is all your fault. If you hadn't left, I wouldn't be in this mess. I read it twice. The lack of self-awareness was breathtaking. Her options were revealing themselves to be exactly what any sane person would expect: a parade of flakes, users, and liars. And in her mind, it was my fault for not staying and being her stable, pathetic safety net while she pursued them. The irony was so thick you could taste it. I deleted the message. The block button was getting a workout. The final, most satisfying piece of karma came via a voicemail from Mr. Henderson, which I listened to on speakerphone while driving to view a new apartment. Leo, it's Mr. Henderson. Listen, I've spoken with Miss Qley. She is distraught. She cannot afford the apartment on her own and has given her 30-day notice. The penalty fee you paid covers the vacancy period, so we are square. I must say, son, it's a shame. You were a good tenant. She, on the other hand, has been rather difficult. She accused me of conspiring with you. Unpleasant business. Anyway, best of luck to you. I smiled. A real, genuine smile. It was over. The lease was broken. The last legal tether was severed. She was being evicted from the life she'd taken for granted, and her true colors, the unpleasantness, the blame shifting, were being revealed to everyone, even the landlord. She was alone. Her options had evaporated. Her home was gone. Her reputation among anyone who mattered was in tatters. She was adrift, and I was the one who had calmly, methodically, sawed through the rope she thought was tying her down, but was actually the only thing keeping her from drowning. I pulled up to the new apartment building. It was taller, newer, with a sleek lobby and a view of the river. It was an upgrade. In every single way. I didn't reply to Mr. Henderson. I just deleted the voicemail. There was nothing left to say. The unraveling was complete. 6 months is a long time when you're building a new life from the ground up. It's enough time to find a new apartment, one with a view of the river that didn't hold a single memory of her. It's enough time to get that promotion to senior project manager, the one she'd mocked as the pinnacle of mediocrity. The silence she'd left behind had become my greatest productivity tool. Most importantly, it was enough time to meet Sophia. We'd met at a tech conference. She was a UX designer, sharp, witty, and possessed a quiet confidence that didn't require the validation of a dating app grid. She was an upgrade, not in the superficial way Qley would understand, but in every way that mattered. She was a partner, not an option. We were at a rooftop bar, a place known for its expensive cocktails and panoramic city views. I was wearing a new suit, bought for the promotion celebration dinner we'd just had. Sophia was in a simple black dress, laughing at something I'd said, her hand resting lightly on my arm. The world felt solid, real, and entirely mine. And then, I saw her. Qley was standing near the entrance with a friend I vaguely recognized. She looked small. Her clothes were trying too hard, a little too trendy, a little too tight. The confident glow she'd always carried was gone, replaced by a weary tension. Her eyes scanned the room and locked onto me. The shock on her face was immediate and total. I watched the calculation happen in real time. She said something to her friend, who glanced over with wide eyes, and then Qley started walking towards our table. Her walk was different too, less of a strut, more of a hesitant shuffle. Leo. Wow. I looked up, my expression neutral. Qley. She gestured vaguely at the bar. The view. Fancy place. It is, I agreed. Her eyes darted to Sophia, then back to me, a flash of pure, undiluted jealousy quickly masked. You look good. Thank you. An awkward silence descended. Sophia, perceptive as always, gave my arm a gentle squeeze. I'll go grab us another drink, she said, her voice warm and untroubled. She stood, offering Qley a polite, distant smile before gliding towards the bar. Her calm exit was a masterpiece of quiet power. The moment she was out of earshot, Qley's posture crumpled. Leo, please. Can we talk? For just a minute? In private. Her voice was a strained whisper. There's no need for privacy, I said. What's on your mind? She glanced nervously towards the bar, where Sophia was calmly ordering. She seems nice. She is. She's exceptional. The word was a deliberate dart, and it hit its mark. Qley flinched. So this is it. You just replace me, and that's that. The bitterness seeped through, ugly and raw. I took a slow sip of my whiskey, letting the question hang in the air between us. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw a ghost. A remnant of a life I'd willingly walked away from. I didn't replace you, Qley, I said, my voice calm and even, devoid of all emotion. I made a different choice. You told me you were keeping your options open. I realized the best option available to me was a life where my partner doesn't need to browse for backups at breakfast. So I took it. I gestured around us, at the gleaming bar, the skyline, the tangible evidence of my new reality. And you were right. It is healthy to see what's out there. I let my gaze drift meaningfully towards Sophia at the bar, then back to her. It just took me a day to find it, and it took everything from you to see it. Her face paled. This was the core of the tragedy she couldn't escape. Her punishment wasn't my anger, it was my success. It was the undeniable, visible proof that the moment I exercised my option to leave, my value skyrocketed, while hers plummeted. You destroyed our lives over one stupid thing, she hissed, her voice cracking, the desperation turning to venom. You ended our relationship with one true statement. I corrected her, my tone as factual as a news report. I just finalized the paperwork. I saw Sophia beginning to make her way back, two fresh glasses in her hands. Our time was up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I said, my eyes already leaving Qley's, moving past her as if she were a piece of furniture. My option is waiting. I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't look back. I stood and walked towards Sophia, meeting her halfway. She handed me my drink, her eyes soft with understanding. Everything okay? She asked quietly. Better than okay, I said, and I meant it with every fiber of my being. I took her hand, lacing my fingers through hers. It felt like coming home. As we walked away, I didn't need to see Qley's face to know what was there. The stunned silence, the crushing weight of her own irrelevance. She had come to confront the man she thought she'd broken, only to find he had been reforged into something stronger, something she could no longer even touch. She had wanted options. And in the end, she became the one option I had permanently and peacefully discarded. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.